we've got each one of these pictures will be solved in a different way. And so we need to match the pictures up with the equation. So let's see. Looking at picture A, if I wanted to find X, all right, I'm looking at picture A, I want to solve for X. X is an angle. So the only way we've learned to find an angle, well, if we had the other angle, like say if I knew that the other angle was 50, then I could just subtract from 90, and then that would help me find this angle, okay? But we don't have the other angle. So the other thing that we can do is to use sine, cosine, and tangent. And we might go like this, all right? Here's the hypotenuse, okay? We circle the angle that we're dealing with. We draw the arrow, right? Like we've done so many times. This is opposite, so that makes this adjacent. And then we would decide which trig function we're going to use. So we think SOHCAHTOA. We look at the sides that we're dealing with. All right, we've got the 39 and the 17. That's opposite and adjacent, man. Opposite and adjacent. Well, here's opposite and adjacent. That is the tangent function. So in the end, in order to set up this equation, we would say tangent. I'm trying to see where I'm going to squeeze this in. We would say tangent of x is equal to opposite over adjacent. So that would be 17 over 39. So this is how we would set up picture A. So now I'm really just looking for this equation now. Tangent of x equals 17 over 39. And here it is, all right? It's this option right here. So this is A. Boom. That's A. Okay, let's keep going. Get this out of the way. All right, looking at picture B. Well, I see the X here, but this time we are given the other angle. All right, so looking at the choices, I would really love to see something more like this. I really would like to see like X plus 39 equals 90. Because I've now really trained you to just subtract from 90 to find the missing angle. But they are going all the way back to 180, which is fine. All of the angles in a triangle have to add up to 180. So it does make sense that if we add up 39 plus 90 plus x, that should equal 180. And we should be able to solve this equation in order to find this missing x. So this is B. This is B. Okay, looking at picture C. We're trying to find a side. I'm glancing to see if we could do a Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But we don't know this side over here. So we can't do the Pythagorean theorem. So that means back to sine, cosine, and tangent. So back to this, all right? This is the hypotenuse, across from the 90 degrees, of course. Circle the angle you're dealing with. Draw an arrow. That arrow is pointing at your opposite side. The other side is adjacent. Okay, yeah. So SOHCAHTOA is what I'm talking about. SOHCAHTOA. Which one are we going to choose? We have to look at the sides we're dealing with. We have x and we have 17. Those are the sides. That is opposite and adjacent. That sounds familiar. I feel like we just did this. That's the tangent function. It involves opposite and adjacent. So we would go tangent, but the angle is 39, so we'd go tangent of 39 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So that would be 17 over x. So this is how we would do it. And okay, and there it is, right there at the end. Tangent of 39 is equal to 17 over x. So that means this is option C. And that just leaves us with the last one. It's the only one, so we can use the process of elimination, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just pretend like this was the first one. I'm just going to think about it. So looking at this problem, we don't have any angles involved at all. It's all sides. In fact, we have two sides given, and we're trying to find the third side. This is what the Pythagorean theorem was made for. All right, when you have two sides already given and you're looking for the third side. So this would be 39 squared plus 17 squared is equal to x squared. Don't forget the c squared is always the hypotenuse squared. And this is the hypotenuse, so we put it over here by itself. Okay, so I'm going to look back for this. Okay, and of course here it is right here. So this is D. All right, so that's how you would handle a matching problem on the quiz on Thursday, Quiz Thursday. There's nothing new that we will be doing today. We are just practicing what we've been doing so that we can get our skills up and ace the quiz on Thursday. Okay, so problem number 1. Our goal is to find the sine of angle C. I guess they're just kind of walking us through like how to do that, but we already know how to do it, so we're just gonna do it. So the sine of angle C. I'm just gonna, here we go. This is the hypotenuse. Let's go ahead and label that up. Okay, it's across from the 90 degrees, so that's the hypotenuse. We need to circle an angle to label the other two. They're saying we need to find the sine of C. So that tells us that we need to circle angle C. Draw that arrow. So that means that this is opposite and this is adjacent. So we want the sine of angle C. SOHCAHTOA. All right, if we're talking about sine, that's the first one. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, opposite over hypotenuse will be 16 over 20. And then we just have to reduce that. You could, both of these are divisible by 4. So I'm going to get 4 over 5. If you're not comfortable with what I just did, right, I just divided both of them by 4. You could cheat. I mean, it's not really cheating. You could, how could I say it more nicely? You could use your resources wisely. That's what I meant to say. And use a calculator. So just don't forget, calculators will reduce for you. If you just go 16 over 20, boom, 4/5. All right, so that's it. This is the sine of C right there. All right, look at problem number 2. For problem number 2, our goal is to find the value of X. All right, man, they are walking us through exactly how to do it. I'm trying to see if I can even do it using their boxes here. But let's see how it goes. The way we find x, we go like this, all right? This is the hypotenuse over here, and then we circle the angle we're dealing with, right? We circle that mess. We draw that arrow. That points to the opposite side. That means the other side is the adjacent side. And then we do SOHCAHTOA to help us decide. SOHCAHTOA. The way we pick which one to use is we look at what sides we're dealing with. All right, we have this side, we're looking for x, and we have the 10. Those are the two sides. That is adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse, that's this guy. All right, that tells us that we're going to be using the cosine function. So now let me try to fill in these boxes, all right, for the cosine function. So we're going to put cosine of 54 degrees, and cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that'll be x over 10. Okay, so we're filling in the boxes. And then now we solve the equation. We have learned that when the variable is in the top, you multiply. But you know what? I feel like just recopying this. So I have cosine of 54 is equal to x over 10. And when the variable is in the top, you multiply. You multiply it like this. You multiply by the denominator. That way these 10s will cancel each other out. So you end up with 10 cosine 54 is equal to x. And then you can just put this in your calculator. Use 3 decimal places, please. 5.878. Oh, apologize. I apologize for yawning, you guys. Man, still early for me. 5.878. Got to round up. All right, that's how you do it. All right, here's another problem. We're solving for x. I don't see a Pythagorean theorem option. We don't have enough sides for that. So that tells us that we need to do our sine, cosine, or tangent. Circle the angle, draw the arrow. That's the opposite side. The other side is the adjacent side. SOHCAHTOA tells us which one to do, man. SOHCAHTOA. How does it tell us? Because of the sides. We're looking for x. We're given 6. These are the two sides we're dealing with. That's opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent. That's your tangent function. So that tells us that we're going to go tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. In this case, that'll be 6 over x. And then we just have to solve this. So I'm just going to recopy because this is ugly. Tangent of 65 is equal to 6 over x. The variable is in the denominator. We have now learned and memorized that when the variable is in the denominator, this is when you swap. Okay? So this is the swap situation. Just for the notes here, when the variable is in the top, this is when we multiply. All right, this is a multiply situation, and this is a swap situation. So the x winds up out in the front, and we have 6 over tangent 65. Okay, all right. And this can go in the calculator. So 6 over tangent 65. 2.798. Got to round up. All right, that's how you do it. Okay, number 4. We are finding another side. I always glance quickly to see if there's a Pythagorean theorem to do, but we need 2 sides given to do the Pythagorean theorem. So can't do that, so we're doing the same thing we just did twice already. This is the hypotenuse. You circle the angle that you're dealing with. Draw the arrow. That makes this the opposite side. That makes this the adjacent side. You write SOHCAHTOA down. This helps us decide which one to use because of the sides. X and 6. That's opposite and hypotenuse. Oh, look, opposite and hypotenuse. That's right there on the sine function. So that tells me to go sine with it. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that'll be, in this case, 6 over x. All right, so that means we have sine 53 is equal to 6 over x. Well, this is just like the other problem, the last problem we did. The variable is in the denominator again. So this is another swap problem. It's another swap. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to swap these, y'all. So we're going to get x equals 6 over sine 53. And then it is calculator time. $7.513. Got to round up. Okay, boom. All right. We are finding the tangent of angle x. All right, we're not finding angle x, by the way. All right, we are not solving for this angle right here. All they want is the tangent of x. Okay, so look, in order to find the tangent, here we have SOHCAHTOA. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. This is the hypotenuse right here. Okay, if we're talking about angle x, then opposite would be over here. So this would be opposite. And then this will be adjacent. The problem is we have adjacent. We have the 15. But we do not, there's nothing here for opposite. We need this, all right? It's opposite over adjacent. We need to know what the opposite side is before we can answer the question. So let's take a step back for a second. How can I find this? All right, if I'm putting a question mark right here. How can I find this? This is a Pythagorean theorem situation. We have 2 sides given. We're missing one side. So use the Pythagorean theorem. Maybe I'll put an x in here. All right, that's too confusing because we have x right there. I'm going to use a different variable. I'm going to use n. I'm going to use n. So we could do n squared plus 15 squared is equal to 39 squared. All right, notice I'm putting the 39 here, not the n. It has to be the hypotenuse. So I've got n squared plus 225 All right, I don't know what 39 squared is, y'all. $1,521. All right, subtract 225 from both sides. Minus 225. So that's 1,296. And take the square root of both sides. That will get n by itself. 1,296. So that's 36. All right, so we found the missing side. All right, see that n right there? I'm going to erase it, and I'm going to put 36 in its place. Now I can answer the question. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. And remember, this was the hypotenuse. Because we're talking about angle x, that made this the opposite side, which means that this is the adjacent side. So opposite over adjacent is going to be 36 over 15. So the tangent of x is 36 over 15. Then it's just a matter of reducing. Both of these are divisible by 3. I think that's the best we can do. So I'm dividing both of these by 3. So that's going to give me 12 over 5. So that's it. This is the tangent of x. All right. Again, they did not ask us to find x. So I'm not doing the inverse tangent. I'm stopping. The tangent of x is this. Boom, we're done. Okay. Looking at problem number 6. Our goal is to find the value of x. However, we have two triangles sort of stuck together here. So the best thing to do is to separate them into two separate triangles, which I've done for you. So let's solve these one triangle at a time. So first, let's do the skinny triangle on the left. Okay, so let's find this value of y. So, okay, so this is the hypotenuse. And we've got that 65 there. So let's circle it, draw the arrow like you do. So this will be opposite, and this will be adjacent. Okay, so time for SOHCAHTOA. Okay, which sides are we working with? Well, we've got the 34 and the y. That's opposite and hypotenuse. That's the sine function. Okay, so that tells us that we're going to do sine of 65 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So that'll be y over 34. Okay, so we have to solve this. When the variable is in the top, that is when you multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides by 34. All right, that will cancel these out. So we're going to get 34 sine 65 is equal to y. Calculator time. So that's 30.814. So that's the value of y. Let me just check that again. 30.814. Yep. So we found y. That's great. But our goal is to find x. But now that we know the value of y, we can go ahead and put 30.814 right here where the y goes. So guys, this is the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90. We have this angle up here at the top. Draw the arrow. That makes this opposite. That means this is adjacent. Okay. SOHCAHTOA again. Which one are we going to use? Well, we've got the 30.814 and we've got the x. Those are the two sides we're dealing with. That's adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse. That's right here. That tells us to set up the cosine function. So we will go cosine of 58, all right, is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 30.814 over x. The variable is in the bottom. This is when you swap. So we're going to swap these. So that's going to give us x is equal to 30.814 over cosine of 58. Calculator time. So we get 58.148. And that is how you find x. So that's how you solve it when you have two triangles put together, split them up into two separate triangles, and solve them one at a time. Okay, that's our strategy. Okay, look at number 7. Be careful. On number 7, we are not being asked to find x. We're asked to find the sine of x. Okay, looking at SOHCAHTOA, remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so we're looking for this. All right, all we need is opposite and hypotenuse. Okay, for angle x, so obviously, look, this is the hypotenuse. We know that. 17 is the hypotenuse. So that means we know that we're going to have a 17 in the denominator of the answer. So all we need is opposite side. Since we are talking about angle x, we have to circle angle x and draw that arrow. So that means this up here is the opposite. All right, this is what we need, but there's nothing there. So again, we need to use the Pythagorean theorem to find out what this is. All right, I'm going to put an n there. So here comes the Pythagorean theorem again. So this is going to be n squared plus 15 squared is equal to 17 squared. N squared plus 225 is equal to 289. And then you have to subtract 225 from both sides. Okay, I'm going to need more space. So that's going to give me n squared is equal to 64. And then if you take the square root of both sides, that gives you n is equal to 8. All right, great. So n is 8. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 8 there. But that's the opposite side. That's the only thing that we were missing right here. We just needed the opposite side. And now we've got it. So that means sine of x is 8/17. It's just opposite over hypotenuse, 8/17. That's it. Stop. Stop right there. This is the answer. Don't do the inverse sign. They did not ask us to find x. They asked us to find the sine of x, and we found it. So we are done. Stop there. Okay. Look at number 8. We are finding x. Can't do the Pythagorean theorem. So here's the hypotenuse. Circle the angle. Draw your arrow. This is the opposite side. The other side is adjacent. Okay, let's go SOHCAHTOA. Let's see, which one do we use? It depends on the sides. We have x, we have 14. That's opposite and adjacent. Here's opposite and adjacent. So that tells us to use the tangent function. So you go tangent of 36 equals opposite over adjacent. So that's x/14. Look, the variable is in the top. When that happens, you need to multiply on both sides. That way these 14s will cancel each other out. Okay, so really you just have 14 tangent 36. So 14 tangent 36. 10.172. Got to round up. All right, so this is really a nice practice quiz, you guys. Like this paper that we're doing, this could be the quiz right here. Okay, problem number 9. This is another problem where the triangles are stuck together and we need to split them apart and solve them one piece at a time. Okay, so here we go. Let's try to solve this first one. Here's the hypotenuse. Circle the angle, draw the arrow. That makes this the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA helps us choose. Which one do we use? Depends on the sides. We have the 27, and we're looking for y. That's opposite and adjacent. All right, that's the tangent function. So we go tangent 36 equals opposite over adjacent. That's 27 over y. When the variable is in the bottom, that's when you swap these. So we're going to do the old swap, the old switcheroo. So we're going to have y equals 27 over Noah said we are on day 5, not day 6. Yes. Why are you saying that, Noah? Okay, did I type day 6 in that? Did I call the meeting day 6 or something? No, it says day 5. Not sure why Noah said that. Oh, maybe that was from my previous class. Anyway, I don't know why I put a box around that. Put this in your calculator. That's not a calculator. Put this in your calculator. 27 over tangent 36. 37.162. That's y, but we're not done. We need to keep going and find x. But let's fill in what we know. So we know that y is 37.162. Always use 3 decimal places. So now we should be able to find x over here. All right, so this is the hypotenuse. We need to circle the angle, draw the arrow. All right, that tells us that this is the opposite side and this is the adjacent side. We consult SOHCAHTOA to help us decide which one we're going to use. It's all about the sides that are involved. All right, we've got the 37.162 and we're looking for the x. That is opposite and adjacent. Here's opposite and adjacent right here. Once again, that it will be the tangent function. So we're going to again do tangent of 67. Opposite over adjacent, so that's 37.162 over x. All right, this is just like the last problem. The variable is in the denominator. That is when you swap. So we're going to end up with, okay, x equals 37.162 over tangent 67. Okay, x equals. So this is just a calculator issue. 37.162 over tangent 67. So that's 15.774. And so that is the answer. Okay, what else do we have? All right, be careful. Again, they're not asking us to find the value of x. They're asking us to find the tangent of x. So tangent is simply opposite over adjacent. Okay, that's all we're doing is setting up the fraction opposite over adjacent. Okay, so what do we have? This is the hypotenuse because it is across from the 90. Because we are talking about angle x, we circle angle x and draw the arrow. That makes this opposite. That makes this adjacent. Okay, for tangent, we need opposite over adjacent. Okay, so we now have the opposite, which is 16. All we need is adjacent. In order to find it, we will have to do the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we would have to do, I'm going to call this n for a second. So this would be n squared plus 16 squared is equal to 34 squared. So that'll be n squared plus, let's see, 16 squared. Okay, it's 256. It's equal to 34 squared. 56, 11. Subtract 256. Okay, that's 900. Okay, and then if you take the square root of both sides, what is this, 30? I'm sure that's 30. Okay, so that means the missing side is 30. That's adjacent. For tangent, that's all we needed was opposite over adjacent, and now we found that adjacent was 30. All you have to do is reduce this fraction. Both of these are divisible by 2. So that's going to be 8 over 15. So this is the tangent of x.